are Andy Audate, and together we explore the diverse landscape of business, offering unique perspectives that blend the structured strategies of corporate life with the dynamic approaches of entrepreneurship. How are you doing today, Andy?
I'm well, and I'm super excited to be here with you on another episode.
Amazing. Well, you just got back from Denver, right? You were there this early part of the week?
Yes,
Awesome.
yeah.
How was
This week I spent uh this week I spent a couple days in Denver, Colorado. I spoke yesterday uh really on how to set up your social media and how to market it, how we went viral on some pages, and so forth. So it was really cool to speak about the back end of our business. Can't hear you. You're on mute.
I was just saying that sounds powerful. What was your biggest takeaway from being at an in-person event and like stepping away from the computer, stepping away from Zoom?
My biggest takeaway was every time I go to these events, I'm like, think bigger. How can I think bigger? How can I do things bigger at a bigger level?
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, that sounds great to be able to connect with people and be in person and talk about more tech items, which actually brings me to the topic for today. We will be discussing the part two. So we had an episode a couple weeks ago about the bottlenecks in business, but the first episode was identifying the bottlenecks. We gave some strategies, some questions for someone to look into their business and identify the bottlenecks. This episode we'll focus on the solutions, specifically using workflows, so
Hmm.
technology, workflows in Progretta to solve some of the pain points, some of those bottlenecks that cost not just time, but money. Potential sales are lost, potential client retention is impacted when you don't have workflows. But before we get into the technology part of it, what is a workflow, Andy?
So a workflow is a step-by-step automation with a series of actions that a software does for you all automatically. So step-by-step actions that a software does for you all automatically when something takes place. That's called a trigger. So when X happens in a software, so let's say when I receive a text message, when I get an email, or when someone fills out a web page and fills out the form on a web page, then I want you to automatically do these additional steps. So those steps could be send an email, send a text message, notify me, make a phone call, things of that nature. So when a trigger takes place, when something happens, when X happens, that someone else does, I want the software to do these specific actions on its own without me being part of it. That's a workflow.
Gotcha. So it's essentially something that's already happening, but it could be manually fulfilled. So when a customer or a lead texts in right now, somebody's manually doing the next step currently, but the
Yeah.
workflow will replace those manual steps so you can do it in volume. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah. So, like, let's say, for example, I'll give you an example of a workflow, of the value of a workflow. And I'm going to end up sharing my screen and give you an example of one. So, let's say, for example, you have an event and you want to bring people together to your office. You want to bring people together to a hotel. You're going to host some type of group gathering. One option to bring people together is you may say, hey, text me on my cell phone number, text me that you're interested, I'll put your name on the list. So let's say you have 20 people texting you, right? And they say, Deborah, let's say your name is Deborah. Deborah, I want to come to your event. And then they text you, and it takes you a couple of days to respond to Deborah because you got your kids, you got your life, so on and so forth. You're busy. And so at that event, you want to get as many people to the event as possible. Well, Deborah texts you, or someone texts you, and you grab a notepad and you put down the name, email, and phone number of the person who is interested to come. And you got a bunch of people to text you to come to to this event. That is technically a flow of work. Someone texts you and said, I'm interested to come to your event. You grab your pen and you say, John is interested, Tom is interested, Dorothy is interested, Tim is interested to come to my event. And you have this like notepad of like who's coming, and this becomes your guest list, right? Just on your notepad, it's all written. That is the flow of work. There's ways with technology today where you can automate that and bring that process online, and essentially a similar step, just doing that automatically with the software, and that's what Progretta does for you.
Gotcha. So when did you start using workflows? Like, is this a new thing from last year, or where does your experience come from in one, knowing about workflows? And is it common in the business world?
It's not common. I started using workflows, and I mean, the flow of work is something that's standard. It's your process, but doing it automatically online, I really went in all on this in 2016. So nearly 10 years ago, 8 years ago is when I started really going 100% all in to identify how I can make things easier in my life. So today, so just to recap, here's one example of a workflow that is manual. You're hosting an event, and you say to the and you tell your audience on Facebook, hey, if you're interested, text my cell phone, text my iPhone. And these individuals text your iPhone, they say, I'm interested. You grab your pen and you just save it on a notepad on your computer, or you save it on a notepad and on physical, and you just write down the person's name, and this becomes your guest list. That's a flow, but it's manual. Today, the way that we do that is through a web page with a form, and on the form, people can put in their name, email, and phone number, and we can automatically put together that list of people who are genuinely interested in coming to the event, and have reminders and emails and text message reminders to automatically go out to them to remind them to come to the event. So you can do one of the two ways. The one that is scalable, the one that is automated, the one that creates the most results is the one that is when it's using software. And that's what Progretta does for you.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you started doing this or creating workflows since before COVID, because you were doing conferences and workshops and masterminds, or did this come after COVID, the actual use of workflows for you?
2016, 8 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's not like a new thing. It's been around. It's just maybe not commonly discussed in businesses and things like that. Okay. Awesome. Well, would you be able to share? Because it's one thing, I think, discussing it and hearing the word and hearing the use case, but would you be able to share an example of a workflow that has solved a bottleneck, like in our business, and seeing how that actually is used in a example, real life example?
Yeah, I can give you an example here. So let me share my screen here. So here, when I share, so if I click share screen, and I'm going to click share screen. So here on my screen, you should see my friend Sergio. You see them? Okay, so in this scenario, this is an event that I'm hosting with Sergio to help people learn how to run Facebook ads to sell a software. And so this event takes place on July 9th. And on my screen here, I'm showing the actual screen, the landing page where people go register. At the top of the web page is a video of Sergio explaining and inviting the viewer, the person who's coming to this web page, explaining and inviting them to come to the web page or to come to the workshop. Now, at the bottom, there's a button that says Save My Seat if they're interested. When they click Save My Seat, a form pops up. And when the form pops up, the form asks them for their name, email, and phone number. And it says register for the next workshop. So I'm going to actually take you into the back end of what this looks like. Actually, it's really cool. So I'm going to take you into the back end. So this is what this web page looks like. It's very simple. And then when someone comes in to fill out the web page, there's this automation here in the back end. So what I'm sharing with you here is this automation. So this automation here gets triggered when the form is submitted. So remember, a workflow is when someone else takes a specific action to trigger the process, the additional actions that are taking place. So so in this scenario, what I'm telling our software Progretta is when the form is submitted, and then because we have so many forms in our software, it's like, when is this specific form? When the form is out of all the forms that we have, when it's this specific form, the workshop form, I want you to take these additional actions down beneath. So one of the actions here that I'll share with you is it's going to put in the person's name, email. It's going to put in the name, email, and phone number inside of the workflow. So for example, It says hi, contact first name. So what I'm telling the software to do is, because we have the contact's name, I want the software to dynamically put the contact's name there. So it says hi, first name. So it could, if John fills out the form, it's going to say hi, John. If Tom fills out the form, it's going to say hi, Tom. So on and so forth. And then it puts the link to, it gives the link of where people are going to come and meet. So there's a confirmation email, and then there's a text message that gets sent out as well. So here it says, thank you for registering for this workshop. Join our group chat, and so on and so forth. Now, because we've done additional marketing emails before, the next action that this software does is it says remove them from the email marketing that is inviting them to the workshop, because at this point they're already registered. So we're telling the software, like, remove them from another workflow here. Remove them from the marketing of the email, the email marketing. And then we have reminder emails that goes out 2 days before, 1 day before, 3 hours before, 1 hour before, 30 minutes before the workshop. So for me, the value of this is when someone comes to this web page here and they fill out the form, as soon as someone fills out the form, I don't have to touch it. I don't have to remind them. It's all automated. So when someone clicks save my seat, they put in their name, email, and phone number. They automatically get added to this process here. They're gonna get the confirmation email, and the email is gonna tell them, "Hey, you're registered for the event," and then we're gonna send them the text message, and it's gonna say you're registered for the event. That's all automated. And if there's any additional marketing workflows that I built before, we're gonna remove them from that, so that way they don't get the marketing emails because they're already registered. And then 2 days before the event, they're gonna get an email. 1 day before the event, they're gonna get an email and a text message. 3 hours before the event, they're gonna get another email. 1 hour before the event, they're gonna get a text message. And then 30 minutes before the event, they're gonna get one email. And then 10 minutes before the event, they're gonna get another text message that says, "Hey, the event started. Join us in the Zoom room." And then they also get another email and text that says, "Hey, we already started. You're actually late if you're not in the Zoom room. You're not in the Zoom room. Why don't you join us now?" So that's what all of these workflows, these actions are. So number one action is confirmation email, like, "Hey, you're confirmed." Confirmation text message, "Hey, you have received the message to know that you're coming." So it says, "Thank you for registering." That's all it says. And then 2 days before the event, they're getting the email to join us. 1 day before the event, they're getting the SMS. And so they're essentially reminded before the event. So the value for me is, if I was, let's say, doing it off of a piece of paper. Let's say someone texts me. If 100 people text me, there's somebody that's going to slip through the cracks. If 100 people text me and said, "I'm interested to come to your event, Andy," and they text me personally, not only are they going to slip through the cracks, but I'm going to forget to message them back and to remind them to come to the event. So I'm going to have less of a show up rate. I'm going to have less people show up. So out of 100, I may get 10 to 15 people who actually remember to come to the event because they personally text me, and I'm already focused on the event. So I don't have enough time to put my attention on texting those people back and reminding them to come. So today there's technology that can automatically do that for you, and it would automatically text them, remind them to come to the event, and make sure that they show up, and even text them after the event has already started, like 5 minutes after, to say, "Hey, if you're late, no worries, you can still come now." And all of that is all automated. So now for me, I can focus on the event. I don't have to like be all over the place and like trying to like remember to email John, remember to email Tom, or remember to email Bob, and so on and so forth. All of that can be completely all automated.
Yes, and this looks like it's an online workshop. So this is Zoom event, but we've also used this for in-person events, and it has been a game changer for us, because I was actually going to mention, when it comes to the events, if you're doing it manually, imagine if 100 people had signed up, right? If you're doing it manually, 100 people, you're trying to remember, like, oh, who signed up? Did they say they could make it or not? You might forget to send them reminders. But this would change it for the business owner, the speaker, the person that's actually hosting it. They have that peace of mind that there was multiple points of communication along the journey and the day of. So not only is it peace of mind for the person doing the event, but it also sounds like it would be a high level customer service experience because people are all over the place. Like you're actually leading them. It's here's the Zoom link. Let's say if it was in, I know when we do in-person events, we send reminders like here's the parking place. You're going to go into this room. Here's when the doors open. Registration is here. So someone can really customize it to the point that it decreases, let's say, cancellations or decreases the chance of a bad customer experience. Would you say that's also the value of having workflows take care of the customer along the different time frame of the journey?
Yeah, for sure. Like if you can take things off of your plate and you can automate the journey, that's going to save you a lot of time. That's going to save you a lot of effort. That's going to increase your results, which ultimately is going to create more revenue. So, for example, if you're having an event for potential customers, for example, the fact that you have some type of automation that already communicates to them, hey, join me at this event, and it's all automated, you're going to get more people to show up than if they have to send you a text message to come and see you in person, right? If they have to send you a text message to register, and that is the only communication, where you're going to lose people along the way. And that's unfortunately one of the ways that people never hit their revenue goals, their ultimate long-term goals in their business. Now, this is just an example of using workflows for specifically for events. You could use workflows for webinars. You could use workflows for sales calls. You could use workflows for in-person meetings, things of that nature. So the workflow inside of Progretta, the objective of the workflow is the steps that you would take manually, you could have the software do it automatically, right? So the text message that you would send, the emails that you would send, the video calls that you would send, the voicemails that you would record. You can actually in Progretta, you can record a voicemail, a voice note, and record it one time and send it out automatically. So here's an example of how we use it. I have a voice note that I record that says, hey, hey, we try to charge your credit card, but your credit card is past due. So that happens, right? Where someone's credit card, it could be past due, the number could have changed, the card could have expired, whatever the reason is. And so we have hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of clients. So with that being said, with the large amount of clientele that we have and the amount of cards that we charge for different services in our products, if someone's credit card is past due, I can't manually call each person and say, hey, your card is past due. Hey, your card is past due. That's all automated, right? We have products that are $49. We have products that are $99 a month. We have products that are, $10, right? So what we do instead is I record a voice note one time, and I go to a platform called Vocaro, VOCAROO.com. I think Vocaro, something like that. And I record the voice note right from my microphone, and I say, hey, this is Andy. I just want to let you know that your card is past due. I just emailed you the link and texted you the link to make payment. We look forward to continue having you as a client, and we want to make sure that your services aren't interrupted because we know you love them to help them grow your business. Okay, so fill out the card, the updated link, so that we can update your card. Looking forward to talking to you soon. Bye for now. And that is all automated. So what I do is I record that voice note, and inside of Progretta, in one of the action steps, I add it as an action where to send this audio note to this person via voicemail. So I choose that in the drop-down menu, and then when the trigger is if someone's credit card is failed, the payment was failed due to the credit card, automatically send out this email with the link, text them the link, and then also send this voicemail. That whole entire process is all automated. So, for example, if today 100 people's credit card were failed, I recorded it once, and I recorded it like in 2022. And so I recorded a couple years ago, and still to this day it runs. So if someone's credit card has failed, it says, hey, this is Andy. Your card, we try to charge you, and here's the text message with the link. Here's the email. And it changes dynamically for each person. So every single person gets that same audio, but every single person gets their unique link to take the payment or to charge, so that way they can pay their credit card. So that's like one use case on how we use it in our company to help create more revenue, right? Because they get a text message and they're like, oh yeah, my card number did change. Oh, you know what? Let me update it right now. And then they click the link and then they update it. And that was done via text message all automatically, versus if a couple of weeks go by and I don't notice, the team doesn't notice, the client doesn't notice, and their product or service gets shut off. And then now it's like, it's our fault, right? Because we weren't proactive and making it easy for our client to update. Netflix
Right.
does that. Why can't we do that? And that's how some people use Progretta.
Gotcha. So this I see what you're saying with the different examples. Like you've used it to do payment reminders, billing, workshops, events. Our sales team, I'm sure they have like reminders for people to show up to the calls, onboarding. I used it in real estate to remind my leads to book the call with me because I mean thousands of people would reach out and it's like I can't call back each person, but I would
Right.
have reminders. Would this also be beneficial to a business that's running ads? And let's say that I mean, we've seen it before. We've seen people run ads and get, a lot of leads in one day, let alone a week. Would this be beneficial for someone running ads and they're getting a great price for their lead, but they're just overwhelmed? Like the sales team can't even keep up with the ads.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've seen people who are running ads, and the way that they are running ads is that when after they run the ad, as soon as someone clicks the link, it goes to a web page, and that web page is what captures the name, email, phone number, and then all the subsequent emails and text messages and so forth happens because of Progretta.
Gotcha. Okay. And I do have a question because I feel like you get this a lot. So, do you build these yourself or do you have a tech team building these?
I build them out myself as well. So I have a team today, but in the beginning, I started building out myself because I have to really understand. So I suggest everyone to, in the beginning, like really focus on building it out yourself. And many times I'm in there building out campaigns, and I'm building out. Man, I want the software to send this text message at this specific point. When they click that button, when they click that email, when they submit a form, when they, forget to pay, or when they do pay, or when they do sign up for something, I want the software to do X for me, and I'm in there building it out myself.
My only rebuttal to that is for me, I have an idea. Like, for example, when I used it for real estate, I had the flow down of what the customer had to go through. But if you had asked me to build it myself, I would have not been able to, just because I'm like a visual person. So I would add on, like, if someone has experience building them, they can, like, if they are able to understand the tech, the elements. But for
Yeah.
me, I had the flow down and it was much easier to then relay that to the tech team, and they knew how to get the technical down. Like I can't imagine, for example, a sales manager. Do you envision a sales manager sitting here behind a screen and building out like the if then, what if, like all of that? That's where I get lost. So would a sales manager have to learn that much tech to build it? Or should they do what I did, which is like, I know the process, it's a rinse and repeat and I have the leads, but the chances of me building a workflow are slim.
So you can hire someone to do it for you. So that's one. So you can for sure hire someone to go ahead and build out a flow for you, a campaign for you, so on and so forth. Or you can, of course, go ahead and build it out yourself. Now, especially if you're in the beginning stages, most people it makes more sense just to go have someone go ahead and build it out for you, especially if you're like, I just want to get it done. That is an option. But we try to make it as easy as possible, and we guide you to go ahead and build it out yourself. So at Progretta, we go ahead and we train you on how to go ahead and build out your workflows. We have online courses, tutorials, and trainings that you can go ahead and build it out for you.
Gotcha. Okay. And gotcha. So what is an example of, I guess, data on your best performing workflow? Like what did you notice the ROI was in having it?
The ROI, I mean, my time. That's going to be the biggest thing is my time. So the fact that for example, like the workflow of payment reminders, I mean that ROI is so that ROI is so high for us that the fact that someone can 100 people can come in and buy our products and their credit cards could change tomorrow, and the fact that it reminds them like, hey, don't forget to pay your bill. It's not that they want to cancel or anything, it's just the credit card expired, right? They've been with us for so long, the credit card expired, and that could happen to 100 people. And just by this automated reminder that I don't have to think about, that I built in 2022, now I built this out in many years ago, that automatically goes out to help our clients and to help our clients and remind our clients like, hey, don't forget your bill is due. Here's a link to update. Rather than them having to search through emails and so on and so forth, it's all right from their phone and they're able to make payment right then and there. That for me saves so many hours. Like it's the amount of hours is ridiculous. And at Progretta, we have so many templates that you can use. So if you're new to Progretta, you're new to this, we have so many workflow templates and so many processes that you can actually use once you become a client. And you in the link, if you go to progretta.com/trial, you can actually do a free trial. If you go to progretta.com, progreda.com/trial, you can actually do a free trial of Progretta to see how it works out for you.
Yes, and one of my favorite items, like you mentioned, it saved you time. It just gave you that peace of mind knowing that the customer's going to get taken care of. What I really enjoyed having workflows was being able to run the report on like how many people came in and where they were along the journey. So would this be beneficial for like a sales team or anybody that's looking to get data to check the conversion rate or checking how many people are actually coming in? Does it give them the insight data to kind of track how they're performing?
Yeah, so inside of the workflow, inside of the software, if you're on our diamond plans, you have the ability to do all reporting, and you'll be able to see how many emails were sent, how many emails were opened, how many emails bounced, and then it get received from the person. So you have a full-on plethora of data points for you to be able to make the decision, because that's what you want the data to do. You want the data to be able to make decisions. So when you have information, the fact that it's right in front of you, you're able to identify who's the best email, the group to email, who's the best group to text, who's the best group to send a specific offer to. I'll give you an example. This weekend, I was in a mastermind in Denver, Colorado, and I spoke at this mastermind. So this weekend, I mean, today's Thursday. So yesterday, yeah, it was yesterday. I spoke on stage in Denver, Colorado yesterday. So less than 24 hours ago. And when I was on stage, when I was on stage, actually, before I got on stage, I overheard another speaker explain about doing a July 4th sale. And I was like, hey, we're not doing a July 4th sale. You know what? We should do a July 4th sale. So I sent that message to my team, went upstairs to my hotel room, and I said, hey, let's build out a workflow, baby, for July 4th. So we built out a workflow for July 4th. And then from there, we went in and sent an email blast and put people through this workflow. And then the email blast essentially said, hey, 4th of July sale, try our new coaching program for $1, right? Which was a trial. So, and then we got a few dozen customers from that one email blast that brought in new customers. And to me, that was all automatic. And I went back down to the conference room and spoke on stage. So someone in the morning says, hey, Andy, or to the group, hey, everyone, you should have a 4th of July sale. I'm like, that's a good idea. I left the hotel room. I left the conference room, went up to my hotel room, built out a workflow for a July 4th sale, and then came back downstairs and then already submitted and sent an email blast to everyone who was on my email list. And then from there, we got a few subscribers, and then it's just been growing ever since because it was email, so everyone sees that at a different time. And so that is an example of workflows creating results and financial gain and helping you grow in your business.
That's amazing because, like you said, you were just speaking yesterday. So before you got back home, you had already uh, had the idea. So it went from ideation to execution, sending it out, and then ROI, which is sales. And because you're already set up on Progretta and you already have the knowledge of the potential that a workflow can reach people, take care of the journey, receive payment, it didn't impact your ability to be at an event. And I think that's what the main goal and focus of this podcast is, people being able to see how they can buy back their time so they can do the other things that they prefer to do. Because I'm sure you would prefer to be at this event with other entrepreneurs and this mastermind and receive the knowledge and receive the connection instead of making individual one-on-one calls yesterday from your hotel room. It didn't impact your business production. Essentially was not impacted by you being away for 3 days.
Exactly. Like the fact that today, the fact that I was able to automate and streamline this whole entire process, I mean, it saves me a lot of time. I was able to do a lot more in a shorter period of time, and then of course make more money in a shorter period of time.
That's amazing. Well, we'll be sure to link some of those items that you mentioned. And also, we look forward to the next podcast episode. This completes the series on bottlenecks. But of course, if anybody wants to continue to learn more on the tech side of things, let us know. We're happy to share. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Andy, for today's podcast?
When you're creating workflows and you're creating these type of processes, I want you to think about what are the action steps that you do today manually. Like, are you sending when someone does something for you, and it's like when X happens? So that X could be when a client emails you and it is frequent, or when a client fills out a form, or when a client registers for something, or when a client purchases something. Are you doing the same thing automatically almost every single time, or are you doing it manually and you're doing the same thing almost every single time? Today with technology you can automate that. So if you're interested in trying Progretta and doing a free trial, go to progretta.com/trial, and you can try Progretta and try this entire system that I just shared with you. And you can also get on a call with our specialist who will guide you to build out your first one. So that way you're not alone and you're going to be with our specialist who's going to teach you on how to do it.
Sounds great. Well, sounds like a great opportunity for someone to try it and just get that trial to maximize it during that time. Well, we look forward to the next podcast. Have a great rest of your day.
Yes.